FKA Twigs is very much one of those, if you know artists. If the people that are in the know that this artist is an incredible, forward-thinking, creative mind of our time. She has made some incredibly eclectic, unique, alien sounding music that just feels like no way a human being could conjure up these sounds, and that has made for a bit of a discourse surrounding her, because she's kind of always branded as this like alt girl that has no real like proper fans and all that kind of stuff. And sure, it's not going to be the type of music that absolutely captures the masses in the way that, you know, many other artists do, but I just think if you really give her the time of day, you really begin to appreciate the beauty of it all. It really is remarkable at times how good she can be. And given the fact that Eusexua came out earlier this year, came out to some rave reviews, I like the album a lot as well, it just seemed now was the right time to give you guys my top 10 FKA Twigs songs. I think doing it before that album came out would have been risky because there were some really great tracks on there. So I wanted to wait, let the album simmer, let the album sit with me for a bit, and now give you guys my top 10. So yeah, we're back on the top 10s, guys. We're doing FKA Twigs today. Let me know what your top 10 would be in the comments as well. Check out my Patreon as well. That will give me support for keeping this channel going. You get your own top 10 requests as well if you hit me on the right tier. And you could also, if you're thinking about supporting your boy, you can just support me on the membership page on YouTube as well, if that's easier for you than going on the Patreon. Either or would be wonderful. So yeah, let's get into it now. My top 10 favourite FKA Twigs songs. I still wish this mixtape got a bit more appreciation than it does. I understand that FKA Twigs kind of deviating from her usual sound, particularly after Magdalene, which is an incredibly beloved album amongst her fans, was a bold move. I liked the move though, because I thought it really showcased how really good she is at just making like typical British pop music that has so many influences that come from all kinds of different cultures, very much fueling the London scene. And this album, or mixtape if you will, had so many gems for me, and Honda is definitely a major highlight. It's just such a fun, bouncy track, kind of careless sounding, or carefree sounding should I say. I just enjoy this deviation from her usual sound. It kind of gave us a nice look into what could be if FKA Twigs just went for a more conventional sound, and she kind of showed a lot of the UK artists that do this sound like how it's really done. Like seriously, I think if you are somebody that loves FKA Twigs but you live outside the UK, you might have been kind of like outside of these sounds, but a lot of British rappers, you know, kind of go for this style, and I don't know if it always fully works. It does get mainstream, it does get the numbers, but I think FKA Twigs kind of showed people how it's really done. I enjoy this a lot. One of her most fun songs, really hard to deny for me. Lights On at number 9 has a really haunting rhythm to it, despite the fact that it is a song that's very much, you know, whispering to your partner about doing it with the lights on. With the lights on. Sometimes it's got to be done. Sometimes it's got to be. FKA Twigs gets it, man. But yeah, this is definitely one of the most striking sounds, I think, on the album LP1. What debut this is, by the way. Like, absolutely show-stopping in terms of giving us a completely fresh sound on like the art pop R&B world. Like, completely unique. Still to this day, it sounds ahead of its time, and I think tracks like this kind of give you that vibe as well. Number 8 now, we've got Eusexua, which highlights the diversity in sound palette that FKA Twigs is able to achieve, really. I mean, these first 3 songs already on this list are like completely different to each other. You honestly could play them for somebody that's never listened to FKA Twigs before, all in a row, and I think that person would maybe think, like, is this a different artist? Like, is this the same person? Like, this can't be the same woman, right? It just can't be the same woman, surely not. And yet it is. It is. Somehow it is. But yeah, love the build-up on this track. Really, really cool. I think with the visuals, that's one of the things with FKA Twigs as well, like the visual aspect of her music heightens the sound. And I think watching her videos, I always implore people to like watch her videos with the songs, because it just really adds a completely new effect, I feel. But even outside of the video context, it's still a great track, obviously. But yeah, love this track. Think its trance-like nature is incredibly alluring. It's incredibly creepy in a way as well, but the way it builds and that last section of the song just is absolutely emphatic. Number 7, you got Pendulum here. Talk about one of the more unique percussion patterns. It makes the song sound completely otherworldly, and then the way her voice kind of cuts through the atmosphere and she hits those really like incredible high notes on that chorus. It is just a really, really wonderful moment. Yeah, the whole thing just completely captures an essence that I think is really hard to find anywhere else. But swiftly moving right into number 6, we have to really go with the track that kind of began it all. She obviously had EPs before LP1, of course, but this is the song that I think really rose her to a new level that gave way more eyeballs onto her than she had ever had before. 2 Weeks is very much like a magnum opus type song for any artist. You could easily argue this is her best song, and yet it's landed at number 6 for me. So there are some songs that I do have above it, but that doesn't, you know, diminish its quality in any kind of way. Absolutely like glorious the way this track just builds and hits that kind of crescendo on the chorus. Just a really, really unique synth sound that captures such a really strange feeling, but that synth kind of matching with her voice is to die for, man. Is to die for. This is art pop at its absolute finest. Top 5 now, we got Glass Patron from Melissa, which if you were to ask me like what are my favourite EPs of all time, Melissa would absolutely be up there, man. Like, this is an amazing, extraordinary sounding EP, and Glass Patron had to be mentioned here. I couldn't not include tracks from this EP because I do think to this day it's like her best body of work. I know it's only 5 songs, but when you've got tracks like Glass Patron on it, how can you even argue that, man? The way that whole like refrain comes about, the strike that pose for me, doesn't even like fit in a way that makes sense, but yet when you hear it, it absolutely makes sense. It's a completely unique track and super catchy as well, melodic and pleasing to the ear. Yeah, I love it. People might be a bit peeved to see this so high up, given the fact that it is in fact higher than Eusexua, which is the, you know, the beloved track from the album. But Perfect Stranger, man, I don't know, man. I think this is I think this is better. I think this is one of her best songs. Obviously, I put it at number 4. But yeah, I'm absolutely in awe of this track. I think the rhythm, the melody captures something so unique. I think the way she's singing is really like alluring and sensual in such a lovely way. Yeah, I adore this track. And again, once it kind of builds into that like dance portion of the track towards the end, oh my God, I am raving, I'm hooting and hollering, man. That part sounds fantastic. But yeah, I just think there's something so unique about the way she kind of puts her own spin on like a pop track here. Like, I think it's very much at its core is a pop tune, but it just has its own FKA Twigs flair to it, and just ended up being my favourite from the entire album. So yeah, I know some people were kind of mixed on this one, but I love it. At number 3, we do have Cellophane, which eventually did get memeified. I know it had that whole Miss Piggy thing that was attached to it that went viral, which, to be fair, was hilarious, I will say that. But do not forget the beauty of this track, because I will say, when I initially reviewed this album and heard this track, I thought the song was good, but it never really like entered my soul. But it has entered my soul, I will say. It really has entered me, and it just feeling those emotions pour out and that really like glassy sheen that kind of comes through in the instrumental and matches her voice, and the way her voice kind of distorts, it all sounds absolutely magical, man. And that really pain delivery is truly like exceptional on this track. Like you can really feel the sadness exit her body the way she sings these words. That is an underrated feature of FKA Twigs, like the emotion she manages to deliver in her songs, while it's all kind of like otherworldly and unique and adventurous and alien-like, is so hard to do. Like, you know, Björk is only really the other name you could name drop here and say that she is somebody else that is also able to achieve that on such a high level. So yeah, that is the highest praise I think you could give FKA Twigs, really. Absolutely magnificent track. Oh, beautiful stuff. At number 2 though, this is also from Magdalene, and at the time this was always my favourite track from the album. So yeah, this lands in so high on this list. Although my opinion did change of Cellophane, this has just always remained the same. This right here is just an incredible concoction of sounds that are smashed together in a beautiful way that, again, kind of doesn't really make sense, but good God, it is incredible the way it comes together. I know some people don't like the comparisons that get thrown about with FKA Twigs, but honestly, I don't say this often with her, but the Kate Bush vibe that comes through on this track, just when you think of how quirky and eclectic Kate can be with her vocals and conjuring up sounds that don't really make sense, I really do get that vibe from this one here, to be honest with you. It's just such an explosion of colour that feels like it's darting around and like feels like it doesn't like land on one particular thing. Like if you're playing this song, right, and you just skip to certain points of the song, it continuously sounds like you're listening to a different song. Like if you just skip to 30 seconds and then skip to a minute and then skip to 1 minute 30 without playing the song all together, you would just think this sounds like all songs being mashed together. It really is amazing. I'm blown away by this one every single time, and I've always been surprised that people don't value this as being the best track of Magdalene, because to me it's like it's gotta be, it's a no-brainer. But as ever, we hit you with the honourable mentions before we get to number 1. And I always give you 5, and I'll be doing the same here as well. So let's start with 2 tracks from Capri Songs that I think are really great, honestly. One of them being Pamplemousse, which is literally like less than 2 minutes, and you'd think, how is that making an honourable mention? But honestly, this track is an absolute riot, man. It is so fun, even with that like outro with the guy talking about like release a song with Dua Lipa, which is just tacked on to the end of it. Still makes this song amazing to me. I'm just blown away by how catchy and strange it is, and how much of a short burst it is, really. But yeah, I've always loved this one and has to be in my honourable mentions. Careless. I'm on the side of Careless. I'm here to defend Careless, man. People talk about Careless as if it's this terrible song, and I am not here for it, man. Daniel Caesar's vocals fit really nicely with FKA Twigs. Also, shout out to The Weeknd, who is also on this mixtape as well. Kind of a close honourable mention there, really. But yeah, again, like I think she actually comes together with these features really nicely, and would love to see her do more of these kind of duets, because I think she works really nicely with these singers. And Careless, I think, has just a really lovely sweetness to it I just really appreciate. Mary and Magdalene, another honourable mention. The lyrics on this track I think are really unique. That was one of the things that stood out to me the most with Magdalene as an album, just how really painful and beautiful those lyrics are written. And yeah, I think that album highlighted her writing more so than anything else, to be honest with you. And Mary Magdalene, for me, is a great example of that. Already talked about Melissa, I'm Your Doll. Again, kind of explained what makes me love that EP so much already, so I'm Your Doll has to be mentioned here. My final honourable mention, which came from Eusexua, is Room of Fools, which yeah, I think is really fun. Love the dance qualities that come through on that track. I think Eusexua really handed us some newer dance sounds that we hadn't really heard from FKA Twigs before. The kind of trance, that kind of 90s vibe coming through, that house sound. Well, not quite house, more like an ambient version of it. But yeah, loved Room of Fools, one of my favourites. And yeah, they're my honourable mentions. But now let's get into number one, which I think out of all the artists I've done, it feels like FKA Twigs is one that doesn't really have a general consensus of what her best one is. Like, I think with so many of the top 10s I've done, you can kind of pick out one or two songs that would like be a lot of people's number one. And I don't know, like, does FKA Twigs have a general consensus? I feel like lots of people could have a completely different number one, and I feel the same with this one. I don't know if this would be many people's number one, but it is mine. Yeah, for me, her best song ever is In Time. Yeah, I'm going with it. I'm going with it, man. I feel very committed to this choice. I don't know what the general consensus is of her best songs, like I've already said. It's not on a type of list I see pop up very often, but I hope people can stick with me here and, yeah, go with this one. I think In Time is absolutely fantastic. It's got this frantic energy to it. It's got this frantic emotional energy to it as well, where she's kind of desperately pleading for this person to stay with me and, you know, commit to this. And it's really beautifully done. It's arranged in such a unique way. The vocals have this kind of like effect on them that kind of creates this really weird twisted nature to her voice that really comes through nicely. It's just an absolute stunner. The kind of way she kind of like pours out, and it kind of, you'll be feeling the same with the cloud with the rain, we do. That bit, that sounds so cool. And yeah, the instrumental is just so like unique. I mean, even again, like to her own discography, this feels unique to her sound palette, which you could say about all 10 of these songs actually. I keep saying that kind of thing, probably repeating myself here with that point, but yeah, I think it's fantastic. Love what she does. It's, yeah, her best song. Do you agree? I don't even know. Does anyone agree with this? I don't know. Let me know. But this is my top 10 for what it's worth. Like I say, it's difficult to know what generally people view of her discography, really. But would love to see other people's lists, because like I say, I feel quite in the dark with this one, but hopefully you've appreciated my list, you've agreed with it. As I say already, make sure you stick around for more videos like this. If you support me over on Patreon or the membership page, you can get requests in the future if you'd like that. So yeah, consider doing that as ever. At least like the video, share it around, support the channel, that would be wonderful. And yeah, let me know your lists in the comments. Have a good day. Goodbye.